Hey everyone, welcome to IB Student Stories. Today we're talking to Arya. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, like he said, my name is Arya. I'm a junior at Claremont McKenna College studying economics and data science. I'm currently in Milan studying abroad. And yeah, I'm excited to talk to you guys.
Cool. So we'll start off with your experience in IB first, a few questions about that. So what were your higher level and standard level subjects in IB, and how did they influence your decision to study eco and data science?
My higher level subjects were economics, psychology, and math, AA, and my SLs were English, Spanish, and bio. I don't think these subjects necessarily helped me decide what I want to study in college. I actually was looking at liberal arts and open curriculums because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I think what IB did open up for me though is like this idea of being able to study more and pick what I want instead of having like a fixed mindset.
Nice. So how did the IB prepare you for studying at an American university?
I think IB really prepared me to study at an American university just because um, I watch my friends come from like APs or like normal American schools or even like CBSE, ICSE, and they're so used to a very different format of studying and understanding than what IB teaches you, which I think is more similar to what college expects from you. Um, IB is very like assignment based, like you have your IA, your TOK, your EE. And I think a lot of college classes also want you to do all these like other things that add up to be your grade. I also think that IB as a curriculum is very intense and keeps you very busy throughout high school, which is kind of what my college does as well. And so it prepared me so that actually when I went for my first semester, I thought my classes were easier than IB classes.
Nice. So you'd say like IB did prepare you a lot more than you expected for American university.
Yeah, for sure. I think IB is just really hard, and American universities, or at least your first semester, is not going to be nearly as hard as that.
That's true. It's fair. Was there a specific IB assignment, discussion, or teacher that sparked your interest in the major you're pursuing right now, or was it something else?
Um, like I said, not really. I don't think it was anything specific. Obviously, there were teachers I liked that helped me know that I like my like certain subjects better. But I think that what IB did encourage was this like open mindset idea. Like I never felt like I had to like do engineering or bio. I always felt like I had other options, and I applied to college to be a PPE major, which is like political science, philosophy, and economics. And I don't think that any other curriculum would open me up to such unique subjects.
How smooth or challenging was your transition from IB to university life abroad? Was there any like hiccups, or what do you say?
I think for like academics, it was pretty smooth just because, like I said, IB, in my opinion, is harder than your first semester of college. But I will say, like, something it didn't prepare me for, something I don't think any curriculum can prepare you for, is club culture in college and having your resume ready and like applications and things like that. That might be very specific to CMC and like a finance school. So my opinion might be biased, but the minute I stepped into college, I was expected to have a resume, do consulting, case prep, interviews, and these aren't things I was necessarily prepared for. But again, that's very CMC and finance.
Yeah. Do you think like there was anything in IB in particular that might have like helped you prepare for a little bit, or you think you came in completely unprepared, like for what? For the club culture stuff?
I think the only thing that IB prepared me was just being able to put in the time, concentration, and like effort that a lot of my friends couldn't because their high school was just much easier.
Got it. Nice. So you mentioned you're studying abroad in Milan right now, so we'll go to a few questions for that. So, what's it like being an international student in Italy, both academically and socially?
It's been great, both academically and socially. Academically, honestly, I'm studying at a study abroad center. I'm not partnering with any local institutions, but my friends that are partnering also say that it's super easy. For us, at least compared to Claremont McKenna, I think being abroad is significantly easier. Like, my classes aren't that hard, and the study abroad center knows you're here to like explore, grow personally, not necessarily spend your time studying that much. So I think that also helps. Socially, it's also been great. I came here with a bunch of friends from CMC, so it's been a lot easier for me. But traveling every weekend, meeting new people, meeting local people has been great. I think people here are very accepting. There have been some culture shocks, like people stare at you on the train with like no hesitation. They will glare at you for 10 minutes. But other than that, I think it's a great experience.
Nice. It's good to hear. Like, based on your experiences that you've had so far, do you have any tips for IB students who might want to consider studying abroad? Because I know it's a big deal. Like, a lot of people in colleges in US especially want to study abroad somewhere or the other. But in Europe in particular, do you have any tips based on your experience?
First of all, yeah, I think international students don't think that much about like going abroad and then going abroad again, which I completely understand. But to me, I think this is a really important experience. It helps me see like so much more of the world beyond the US. It helped me see that, I don't have to work in the US. There's so many other opportunities, so many other cool places that I could be in. I think it also just helps you understand cultures, history, things that the US doesn't have, and things that just build character and stories that you will never have if you just stay in the US. Some tips that I do have is that like it's not going to be all easy. It can get lonely. You don't have everyone that you had back in college. It's a new place, it's a new experience. And honestly, it might not be for everyone. Most people that are like trying to complete certain majors, if you're doing engineering, it might not be plausible. But if it is, I highly recommend it.
Nice. Sounds like you had a good experience or having a good experience studying abroad. That's awesome. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about your major, economics and data science. So in school, how do your professors encourage critical thinking and discussion? And is it similar to IB style learning? And if yeah, like what are the similarities that you see between IB style learning and the way you learn in college?
My college classes are really small. They're like 10 to 20 students, which isn't traditional. I go to a liberal arts college, so it's very different. So I think the way my professors do it is also slightly different, but all our classes are discussion based. We're encouraged to read a lot. Our classes are also like significantly shorter, like an hour long compared to traditional university classes, which are like lectures and then discussions. And we're very close to our professors, so anything we need, I have the numbers of some of my professors. We can reach out to them. We have a lot of office hours, and they encourage us to read a lot of things. I think the style of learning at a liberal arts college is just very different. The way I think it's similar to IB is that it's very analytical. None of our papers are based on any textbooks. We've never been encouraged to learn from one specific textbook, which is something that I think IB also does really well. You always have to go look for your own material, do a lot of past papers. So I think they're similar in that way. They're also different in the way that IB is still very based on like past papers, repeating questions, and college classes can be very different in the sense that they change every semester. You take like different interesting classes. A lot of my professors change their topics every semester, so you're not really going to find old material that you can practice with. It's more about truly learning, reading, and finding information online.
Got it. So was there any particular, so IB has like additional components compared to like other curriculums like TOK, extended essay, CAS. Was there anything, brutally honestly, like was there anything useful from those three components in college or as a person? Like, what do you think?
Honestly, no, not for me. I did a lot of activities out of school, CAS, for college applications, so I think I would have done them anyways. But if you're not a student trying to go abroad, maybe that would be helpful, because those aren't things you would do unless you're applying to an American university. In terms of TOK and extended essay, like I did my extended essay in a week. The topic, now that I think about it, was horrible. Like, I don't even know why I wrote about that. And in terms of TOK, looking back at it, I think it's a really cool concept, and I think there's a lot we can learn from that. It just makes you think about things that you wouldn't traditionally think about. But in the moment, like when you're doing IB, I did not care about my TOK essay. I picked 3 random things. My professor helped me write. Sorry, my teacher helped me write most of it. So I wish I had put in more effort and thought more about it, but I know that high school me would have never done that. So I don't see the benefit of it, but that could just be me.
That's fair. I totally agree. I don't think TOK helped me. I think my EE helped me, but I don't think TOK and CAS really helped in college. Okay, last few questions. So this is about your plans after college and looking ahead. So what kind of career paths are you considering after studying eco and data science? And like what excites you the most? Like what's your like dream job per se?
So what I wanted to do has changed a lot in the last 2 years. Going into college, I couldn't even tell you what I wanted to do. But even through college, I think like every semester I changed what I want to do. To begin with, I was really interested in consulting, but I think that was more because that's a very traditional path for someone that does study economics or even data science, and a mix of these two. So just seeing people around me, I was really encouraged to do consulting. Realized I wasn't into that. Switched to like economic consulting, product management. Did that for up until like a month and a half ago. Applied to a bunch of places. But then after speaking with like many like people, alumni, seniors, I realized that I want to do something more meaningful. I want to be in a growth environment. I also worked at a VC last summer, which helped me see a lot that I wasn't looking at before. Also, my dad has had like several startups, so I've just grown up in an environment where like I'm constantly learning, seeing things grow around me. So I think all of these kind of pushed me towards this like startup environment. I do think long term, right now, I am interested in venture capital, but in the grand scheme of things, just being in a startup growth environment and in that ecosystem is what I would want.
Got it. And have you seen like this trend amongst your friends or like your peers who more so, rather than going to big companies or even like tech, for example, big tech, it's like transitioning more to startups? Is this a trend that you've seen or is it just you personally?
This isn't necessarily a trend I see at CMC because we're so finance focused. I see a lot of people going into investment banking and consulting and look for bigger jobs. But I do think this is a trend I see generally in the US. And I do think it's primarily because of AI becoming a thing. There's so many startup opportunities that weren't there before. And I do see a lot more people switch into like smaller companies, mid-sized companies. But again, I do think that's partly because of a lack of job opportunity, not just passion.
Got it. That makes sense. If you could go back, what would you tell your IB self before starting university?
I would tell my IB self to take TOK, EE, CAS a little more like importantly, not just because it would help me get a better grade or something, but just because I think there's so much more to learn from that than there is from the other subjects. But also, I do think that 17-year-old me would not be that interested in learning more about the world. I think that changes once you come to college. So honestly, maybe just take a break, chill. Your finals aren't even going to show up when you get into college. Like, your final grades aren't going to show up. Be close to your teachers. That's all that matters.
Great advice. So you tell yourself to chill. I think a lot of IB students need to hear that because they really stress themselves out. I mean, it's fair to be stressed out before mocks, finals, and stuff, but I think if you're just starting IB, it's not worth thinking about.
I will tell you, I have never been as stressed as I was throughout IB in college, ever.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, what advice would you give IB students who want to study something interdisciplinary like economics and data science?
I think keep your options open. IB has so many subjects that you can take. I also think that what you take in IB does not have to be what you take in college. I never did computer science in my life, and I know data science isn't necessarily computer science, but I know people who never did CS, never did physics in their lives and just decided to do that in college. So I think what IB teaches you is a way of thinking, not necessarily the subject itself. I don't think anything I learned in terms of material has ever applied other than like maybe math and a little bit of basic econ. But honestly, it doesn't have to limit you. College classes basically teach you from ground up, and IB just teaches you a way of thinking.
Got it. Okay, very last question. So, would you do IBDP all over again, or would you go for another curriculum? And like why? Why would you do your choice?
Me personally, I would do IB again because I'm crazy. But I think I would do IB again because I know it was hard, and I know I was really stressed in the moment, but it taught me to think very differently. It taught me to analyze things very differently. It also just taught me to work hard, which has really helped me in college and which really built me as a person. I do think IB is very different now with AI. I don't know how it's different, but I do think it is different. So I don't know if I would recommend that to people now. But for me, myself, like going back 2 years, I would definitely do IB again.
I think that's something that a lot of people needed to hear. Great. Okay, that wraps it up pretty much. Thanks everyone who watched till the end. Thanks Arya for taking the time for this interview. I think it was great having you on.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.